Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. We are back with another episode, and I was upset last episode. It's pretty obvious. It was obvious that Carson Wentz's injury got me upset. I thought life was over, and I did not know what to do with my life. And here I am on a Thursday, one day before I leave for France with my college hockey team. So this will be the last episode for about a week, sadly, because I don't think I will be able to produce episodes when in France. So here I am on this Thursday, and it's different. It's different now. You know, I've listened to people talk about Nick Foles and where this team is going to be for a couple days now. I've heard the depression stories. I've heard the people that are extremely excited still to think that we have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Now, I don't think we are at that extent. But, hey, listen, this is where I'm at on today, December 14th. I'm just going to enjoy the ride. I'm just going to sit here, enjoy the ride, and see what happens. Because you look at the remaining schedule that we have left. We play a terrible New York Giants team, which should be a W. We have the Raiders, who are clearly a struggling squad this year and is not the same kind of team that we thought that they were going to be. And then you got the Dallas Cowboys, which is a toss-up game, but at that point, it won't matter if you win the first two. For the Eagles, if you beat the Giants, you clinch the first round bye. If you win two of the next three, you clinch home field through the playoffs. So let's just see what happens. And if we do end up getting to this situation with Nick Foles, and we have a first-round bye, and then we get home field advantage, we're looking at a possibility of playing a team like Atlanta Falcons, who's not used to the cold weather, who's going to be coming into a arena that's outside, not in a dome. Saints, just saying. And they're going to be in a ruthless atmosphere, and people are going to live and die by Nick Foles and what happens. So here's a little optimistic approach. Here's the optimistic approach for what's going to happen. Because I'm not just going to sit here and cry and cry and cry. Because at some point, we're just going to have to move on. It happened. It sucks. It's probably the most upsetting injury that ever happened in Philadelphia sports history. Without a doubt. But what am I supposed to do? Just dwell on it forever? Let me have my couple days to bitch and complain, which I did. And now it's time to face reality. We still have a good team. We're not going to be able to extend the plays. We're not going to be able to get cornerbacks on the other team getting holding calls because when Carson Wentz escapes and our wide receivers run routes, they got to hold them to stop them. We won't have that because Nick Foles can't extend the plays like that, can't move and escape the pocket like Carson Wentz does. But I'm sure this coaching staff, Doug Peterson, will do what they can best to readjust our offense and see what will happen here down the stretch. Now, I expect 2 wins easily, regardless of the quarterback situation. There's just no way we're going to lose to this New York Giants team with 2 wins. This Raiders team is struggling big time. There's just no way. And then the Cowboys, at that point, if you win 2 or 3, and we know our situation, we don't even know who's going to be playing yet in that game, or we don't know the situation, so we can't really talk about it. But, hey, week to week, New York Giants, let's prepare for that. So on my message board forums, www.sportstalkwithbrodes.boards.net. It is a popular message board forums where you can discuss sports with me. You can discuss sports with the fans of the show. And what I did was I discussed. I put up there Carson Wentz's injury. We had 3 replies. 85 people viewed it. And I went in there and I just discussed how devastated that I am about Carson Wentz. And this was during my depression stage. So I went a little bit in depth about why Carson Wentz was the reason this team was going to the Super Bowl. There is no next man up mentality when it comes to someone who is MVP status. And it goes on and on. But we've had people. Now I have a number one fan on my YouTube channel, and he came in here and said, just don't give up. You know, he wrote about 3 paragraphs, but to sum it all up, it's not over yet, Brodes. Hang in there. Keep on fighting. And we'll be okay if we win 2 of the next 3, and we'll just see what happens. We still have Jim Schwartz, who has a lot of talent when it comes to being a coordinator. Obviously, he's upset too, and he knows that our chances have dropped, but it's not over. My cousin actually dropped in a nice couple paragraphs as well, and he listed off 5 reasons, and I would like to discuss them with you guys. 5 reasons that they can't make it to the Super Bowl and win it. Let's look at why. Number 1, the Eagles have the best running game in football. Ajayi is averaging around 8 yards per carry on his own. Number 2, Nick Foles has proved himself even more as an NFL starter than Case Keenum. Hear anybody doubting the Vikings' ability to win a championship? Foles is an accurate passer, a small football player, and Doug and Frank are simply going to have to cater the play calling for a non-mobile quarterback. 3, all capitals. Defense, defense, defense. Defense wins championships. Everyone complains about how Todd Gurley ran all over us on Sunday. His longest run should have been called back for a holding call. Number 4, we are almost certainly going to get a bye, and most likely home field throughout the playoffs. We have an easy end of the schedule, and with Foles getting some practice in these games, you never know where it's going to happen or what's going to happen. And 5, if Jay Cutler and the Miami Dolphins can beat the Patriots, I'm fully convinced with this roster, Nick Foles can do the same thing. He believes that this season's already a resounding success. And there is no reason whatsoever that we should give up hope now. This team is very special, with or without Carson. And I agree, and thank you guys both for responding to my post. It's awesome. It creates conversation. I know people definitely enjoy it. But with those points, I agree. And reading your post definitely gave me a little bit more hope. I'll be honest with you. I've stuck away from reading all the negative stuff, from listening to all the negative people. We're past that stage. We are past that stage. It is time to look at this team for what it is and not give up. I want to apologize for everybody that I upset during my 3 days of grief, but it is now over and new Brodes has stepped in. So let's see what we have. I'm excited to see how Nick Foles is going to do against the Giants. I mean, we obviously are going to break him down and see what kind of offense he's going to bring to the table. I don't want to get negative, like I said, but one thing that concerns me, which I feel is definitely valid, is the fact that our 3rd down conversions with Carson Wentz is just elite. And when it comes to 4th and short and his QB sneaks and he's just, it's going to be tough to realize that that's not going to happen anymore. But that's it. That's all. We're moving on. We are moving on. We are moving on. Sidney Jones coming back. I know it's a little shot down from everything that's occurred, but Sidney Jones is now practicing with the squad, which is huge. I don't know if he's going to see much time this year or what the deal is, but hey, we drafted him very high. He's apparently a steal in the draft because he was hurt with the Achilles injury. So that's a huge part to our defense. Our defense is one of the biggest things that we have going here in Philly. So to have a piece, someone who can essentially be a top corner in the league at some point is nice, and to see his progress is absolutely what I wanted to see. Now let's go to a little Monday Night Football action. The Patriots fall to the Miami Dolphins to make their record 10-3. Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions. Bill Belichick goes for an onside kick call that was atrocious. And after the game, it was awkward. It was quiet. A reporter asked him about it, and it was pretty much a Belichick answer that everybody expected. It was an ugly game. I mean, New England Patriots obviously struggled. I feel the people who are saying, like my cousin, if the New England Patriots can lose to the Dolphins, why can't they lose to a stacked roster of the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles? My response to that is, you're right. You know what I mean? You obviously can't deny the fact that they laid an egg at the end of a season here to a Miami Dolphins team, but at the same time, we are talking about a quarterback who just came back from a 28-3 deficit late in the third quarter of a Super Bowl. We are talking about a quarterback who has rings for every finger on one hand. Playoff Tom Brady is not week 13 Tom Brady. It's just a completely different animal. But to see the New England Patriots struggle in a game for the first time in since the first 2-3 weeks when they lost 2, it's nice. It's cool to see that they have flaws and they're not just going to roll through it because I have New England Patriot fans on my team that I just can't handle listening to. And I'll give you some of this. The Eagles lose to the Seahawks. All this man on my team said was, the Seahawks stink. How can you lose to such a crappy team? Now, I shot him a text after the game and said, I'm not getting on your case, but you know if the Eagles lost to the Dolphins, you would have texted me instantly, ripping me apart. And he goes, the Dolphins have one of the best defenses in the league. Are you kidding me? They have Sue. Bruh. Are you kidding me? You're going to hit me with that? That's when I start losing respect here, because that's ridiculous. You just have to sack up and say, you're right, we laid an egg, it was ugly. We're going to move on to the next game, and we're still the New England Patriots. I would have respected that answer way more than, oh, but Miami has won the bet. They go your sister's ass. They don't have one of the best defenses in the league. Cracks me up, though. Let's look at the Dolphins side, because I needed Landry to be held off, and my man gets 2 touchdowns on 8 receptions. Killed me in fantasy. I am really in the loser's bowl at this point. Jay Cutler, 3 touchdowns, 263 yards. Sheesh. Let's roll into the 76ers because they played the Minnesota Timberwolves, 9:30 tip-off here on the East Coast on ESPN, which is beautiful. They also play tomorrow night against Oklahoma City Thunder on ESPN. They are getting the hype, and it's awesome. We stole one, though. Absolutely stole a game in Minnesota. I prematurely tweeted. I said first the Eagles, now the Sixers. Why? Why is this happening to me and the sports city of Philadelphia? Why does this always happen to us? Because I thought late in the fourth quarter there, it was just ugly. Turning the ball over has to stop. Ben Simmons didn't have a single point until late in the fourth when Joel Embiid hits him with a nice pass under the rim that he slams home. It was just pathetic looking. We were down 8. I just prematurely tweeted, and they came back to fight. The rebounding, getting out rebounded late. The turnovers kills me. But 14.8 seconds left, down 2. It was 100-98, and we hit Embiid down low and gets fouled. My man nails both, and we end up going to overtime. And in overtime, we look like a whole different beast. We controlled the outcome. We controlled the whole game. We had the lead. And it was nice. It was like a totally different squad, though, from the third and fourth quarter to overtime. We need to play like we did in overtime the whole entire game and put a full game together. And that is when we are going to succeed. Brett Brown actually said that J.J. Redick is their MVP. Not numbers-wise. Not stat-wise, but just when it comes to the fit, the veteran leadership. he is the true MVP of this basketball team. And, I mean, it's not, like, shocking to me. I know he's a leader. I know he's a veteran guy with all these young, talented players. There's just some times I watch and he shoots these ill-advised threes where he's jumping forward, and I get it. That's his game, and you live and die by someone who has been around the league and can shoot the basketball as good as he can shoot. I respect it. But, he clarifies that this wasn't about his numbers and about his leadership. But that's great. If he's getting praise to that extent, he must be doing something seriously correct. And that's awesome. So let's look at the stat line. We end up winning 118 to 112. Sharch, 14 points, 8 boards, logged in 40 minutes. Joel Embiid, 39 minutes played, which I heard the commentators talk about how that is one of the longest games he's ever been in. 28 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. The way he can pass the basketball. There was a play he was at the top of the key. Pump fakes. Gets the defender to jump. Goes into the lane. A new D-man steps in. He does a Euro finger roll. My man is over 7 foot. He is getting guys to jump. From the 3-point line. Euro stepping. And finger rolling in. What? That is the power of being able to shoot the basketball. Do you hear me, Ben Simmons? When Ben Simmons creates a jump shot that people are afraid of, he can do things like that and be way more effective. I get it. He will get there. But let's start seeing progress. I need to see him shooting the basketball. He has the ball in his hands all the time. He runs the floor. He didn't have a point until the end of the fourth quarter. He ended up with 7 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. A weaker night for Ben Simmons. I just want to see progress. I just want to see him shooting jump shots. I don't care if he misses them. I just want to see him on the floor shooting the basketball in a game. That's what I want to see. Because you see it in Embiid. When he can shoot the basketball, it makes defenders worried about that long-range game, and then he gets down low. I think Embiid still has some things to learn, though. He's a little immature with the basketball. I don't really know how to describe it. It's more of just a feel and an eye test for me. But sometimes late in games, sometimes he forces things that I think he's just as if he's outside with his boys playing basketball and he's down 1 with 50 seconds left, and he's just like forcing a play that isn't there because he wants to be the hero with the last shot. You can look at it both ways. You can see that it's immature, or you can see that he has the what's the word I'm looking for? The leadership, that he wants to be the guy with the ball in his hands at the end of a basketball game. Now him and Karl Anthony Towns got into it a little bit on Twitter. What's new? Why do guys go after Joel Embiid on Twitter? Do they not know? Do they not see it? Unless it's all just jokes, fun, and games for them? Joel Embiid puts up a photo of him doing the finger roll with Karl Anthony Towns looking up at him finger rolling. He comments, or Joel Embiid's caption was Euro stepping our way through Minnesota and we ended up raising the cat last night. Hashtag the process. Karl Anthony Towns comments back and says that caption was trash as your picture quality. Embiid hits back with the better quality than your defense. Ooh. Whose man's? I love that, though. Why would he comment? My theory behind it is they're boys, and you know Embiid's funny and goofy on social media, so it's like, hey, whatever, we'll just have some fun and chirp back and forth, but they're actually boys, and Karl Anthony Towns isn't actually going after him like that. But it's just funny. Everyone's got to love Embiid. His personality is just exactly what the NBA needs, and May I add the 76ers and what they need. But lastly, before we end our Sixers conversation, Booker coming off the bench, giving us 20 minutes, hitting 6 of 8, 12 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. We're getting some use out of this man. I didn't know much about him before the Jahlil Okafor trade, I'll be honest with you, but now that I'm watching him come off the bench, doing the things that he does, getting points, getting rebounds, getting assists, I like the hustle, I like the grind. Good bench player. I'm very happy. That's something we clearly need to get better at. Is our bench. I mean, we get outscored all the time. When our key guys are not in, we struggle. Let's be real. We struggle. Sticking with the NBA, let's talk about this Houston team. They are 22-4. They have the best record in the NBA. 22-4. They don't lose when Chris Paul plays. I'm just shocked. And I saw reports that, will LeBron James go to Houston? That could just be people talking smack because they're the best team in the league. So would LeBron go there and try and win a championship? But last night, they play the Hornets on ESPN. They win 108-96. I mean, the way they play basketball right now is beautiful. I'll be honest with you. It's beautiful. James Harden, 21 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Chris Paul, 31 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. Those two guys just complement each other very well. In the beginning, I didn't know how it would work out because, you know, Chris Paul, as he played in LA, he wants the ball in his hands. He's somebody who, the way he passes the ball is his best attribute for sure. I mean, he's an excellent passer. And James Harden last year, having the season that he did, playing the number one, playing the point guard, how will it interfere bringing somebody in like Chris Paul? Clearly, it's working out for him. 22-4. I can't believe it. The Thunder played the struggling Thunder played the Pacers last night. The Thunder are now 13-14 after they beat the Pacers 100-95. Paul George getting booed. Paul George struggling. He had a tough night. He shot 3 for 14, 12 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Russell Westbrook ends up getting a triple-double with 10 points, 17 rebounds, and 12 assists to really help his teammate who was struggling. Carmelo, 12 points, 5 rebounds. They're just a struggling team. And I'll tell you who is playing absolutely phenomenal. Victor Oladipo. Putting up numbers than Paul George did when he was in Indiana years past. Last night he had 19 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. If you look through his stat sheets for the last few nights, impressive. I mean, he is playing good basketball. The game before this, they won 126-116 against Denver. Victor Oladipo had 47 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. 47 points. That's no joke. That's no joke. Before that game, they played the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 18-8 Cleveland Cavaliers. They won 106-102, the Pacers did. Victor Oladipo, 33 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. The man is making some noise. It's awesome. I remember him in Orlando, and he was just kind of second guy. He is performing, truly performing very well, and he is fun to watch. So going back to Cleveland, I'm sorry, at the time of their game that they played the Pacers, they were 18-8. Right now they are 20-8, leading the Central. But they're back to playing the way we expected them to. It's awesome. They play tonight. I love watching LeBron James play. And at his age, what he is doing, where are the LeBron haters at now? In the beginning of the year, it's all over. He's too old. The team's not going to have what it takes and all this. LeBron's putting up numbers that he's been putting up since he was 18 coming into the league, if not even stronger. His dunks, his tomahawks might even be a little bit stronger at his age. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Right now, as the standings see it in the Eastern Conference, we have 8 Detroit, 7 Philadelphia, which is what I care about. I want to see playoffs. I know we struggle sometimes. I know we are struggling big time with turnovers, and it's killing me. It really is. But I need to see playoffs this year from our Philadelphia 76ers. I need to see it. So 7 is Philadelphia, 6 is Washington, but we're all one game within each other. Then you have Indiana squeaking away with it a little bit, and then Milwaukee, Toronto, Cleveland, Boston. That's the top 8. In the Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunder at 13 and 14, slided in at 8. New Orleans, Portland at 6, Denver at 5, Minnesota at 14, San Antonio, Golden State, and Houston with the 1 seed. Philadelphia Flyers. The Philadelphia Flyers are ready to try and win 5 in a row tonight against the Buffalo Sabres at home. On Tuesday night, they played the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs came to town, a 20-11-1 squad. Claude Giroux, in the first period, scores a goal, assisted by Sean Couturier. Patrick Marleau gets a goal. Tied 1-1. Then we lose the lead. Of course, JVR gets a goal, a former Philadelphia Flyer, second overall pick. Then the third period, the boys roll. We get a Gino from Travis Konechny, his 4th of the year. Sean Couturier gets a beautiful snipe, top shelf from a pass from Claude Giroux, and he is on the boards getting board played. His legs shoulder width apart, he gets the puck, passes it blindly through his legs to Sean Couturier, who scores a top shelf on a blistering wrister. It was beautiful. And then Scott Lawton ends up putting in the puck with 15 seconds left to make the score 4-2. And that's a big time win against a really good squad in Toronto. We are now 12-11-7 after not winning a game in 10 games. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying I'm excited to watch the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. They actually are bringing it back where I'm excited to watch. We're going for 5 in a row. 5 in a row. We still need to make up some lost time, though. And I know the season's still relatively young. Buffalo's 8-17-6. They're a struggling squad. This should be a game where we come out and perform strong. I want to see a dominant performance tonight, because that will show that we are continuing to be on the right path. It's a mental battle. Here you are. You're hot, and a struggling team comes into play. They're actually also being recorded for the 24/7 Road to the Winter Classic, the Buffalo Sabres. I think the episode dropped last night, or it's tonight, between Buffalo and the New York Rangers, which is always awesome to see the behind the scenes of the NHL players on their game days and in the games, in the locker rooms. It's cool to see that and see how they experience it pretty much every night traveling through the cities. And the Flames. There was a controversial goal by Johnny Gaudreau on a breakaway in a shootout where he dangles the goalie. He goes left. He goes parallel, though. He does not go backwards. And he ends up flipping the puck over the goalie from like an insane angle. And people are trying to break down that because the puck went lateral, that it should be a no goal. I have no idea. I don't understand it. You can see the goal easily on NHL.com, or it's all over social media. I believe NHL tweeted it as well off their main account and captioned it, "What the flip?" So if you search that on Twitter, it should pop right up. I don't understand how people are saying that should not be a good goal. Clearly went lateral. People tried to break down the specific rule call. Well, if that's the case, 90% of shootout goals should be disallowed, because when they move the puck behind them like Patty Kane does the stick handle, that's technically moving the puck backwards. But it was filthy. It was disgusting. I don't understand how some of the things process through his brain to his hands when he's going out there. Doesn't make any sense to me, because I try it all the time and it doesn't work. So with that being said, we are going to end this episode here. As always, follow me on Twitter at sportsandbrodes. Call into the show using your voice recording app. Record yourself. Send it to sportsandbrodes@gmail.com and my message boards. It's actually been doing very well, and I'm excited to see people respond. www.sportstalkwithbrodes.boards.net is the website. And like I said in the beginning of this episode, I am going to France tomorrow. And I'm going there for about 6 days with my hockey team. So it's going to be a really fun experience. But sadly, I will not be able to have the time to record any episodes to my knowledge. So we will have a week break. It's disappointing. I don't like taking breaks. There's a chance I might be able to bring the microphone along. I don't know when I will have the opportunities to record is my problem. But I will see how this will work out, because I love creating content for you guys. So, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day, and see you guys next time.